Welcome back to Stories by the Fire, and today we are dipping into r/RPG horror stories with a player's first foray into D&D. My first time playing D&D, r/RPG horror stories, posted by Multi Roleplays. TLDR, first experience was horrible, put me off D&D for a few months, but got back in, had a blast. This happened about 1.5 years ago. It was my first time playing 5e. Originally tried playing 4e, but groups were harder to find 10 to 12 years ago. I bought a player's handbook in January and studied it, and learned the game for 2 months. I started looking for a group. I found one. I told them it would be my first time playing. They were fine with it. We agreed on a date. They agreed on a time. I told them I wouldn't be able to start until 3 p.m. because of work. They chose to ignore me and decided on 2 p.m. That gave me a bad feeling, but I decided to come with a pre-made character so I wouldn't waste anyone's time by creating one in person. Spent a good 4 hours learning about making my first character, a gnome druid. The day arrives. As I head off to work, a message in the Facebook chat group from the DM says, I could begin at 11 a.m. if that works better for everyone. Group? Yeah, can do, sure. I could be there at 11:30. Me. I will be at work. I said a few days ago I can't be there before 3 p.m. because of work. But I got a character pre-made and ready to go. DM. After 30 minutes of silence, I think he was talking to the other players to see if they wanted me or not still. Yeah, that's fine. We could add you in when you get there. 3 p.m. arrives, I'm off work and get to the DM's house with my dice and Gimli token from my Lord of the Rings Monopoly as my minifigure. I walk in, introduce myself, and pull out my character sheet to show the DM to make sure it's all good. He tells me I won't need it as they decided to do 3.5 edition instead earlier today, and I could create a character using 3.5 edition. I thought, hey, I would be fine with it. How different could a 3.5 edition and a 5th edition druid be? Oh boy, was I wrong! So, I hastily make a rehash gnome druid. I know I screwed up somewhere. I asked the DM a few questions. He is annoyed because I'm interrupting his battle with question about 3.5, a system I never used before. 1.5 hours later, I think I figured out the druid basics of 3.5. Then, a group member says, we are starting at level 2 with multi-class. The DM says, sorry, and suggests I go with cleric as a second class, so I did it. 2.5 hours after I got there, I finally have a character all ready to go and ready to play with many questions as I have no idea how to play 3.5. I wait to be introduced into the story. I really should have left the house then, but I didn't want to be rude, and I finally get introduced in at 3.5 hours after I got there. I got there at 3 p.m. and now 3:30 p.m. Apparently, we are chasing an evil druid. I wasn't paying too much attention while trying to read up on 3.5. So combat begins against some bugbears. It takes about 1 hour to complete. I look at my phone, 7:30 p.m. and decided it's time for me to go. The moment I got in the Uber home, I was about to type up a small "thanks for inviting me, but I don't think D&D is for me" polite message, but they kicked me from the chat before I was even half a block away. It put me off D&D for 4 months, but I got back in, had a blast with a new DM who was new to DMing and a few people helping her DM, and taught me a few things about playing. They were a great group to play with, but of course schedules conflict and we couldn't play again together. But that good experience made me want to try to be a DM. So I found a new group. Some of them gave me some great advice on how to DM. It was a short 4-session test of a homebrew I worked on, based off some writing I did years ago. I have been expanding it and was going to restart again in April, but a pandemic happened. LOL. Whew. It sounded like OP dodged a huge bullet with the original group. Respect is a two-way street. If they don't respect you, how can you respect them? It's great to hear that OP was able to give D&D another chance and found a great group to play with, even though it didn't last that long. Here's hoping you find more games to play in. And that's our story for today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for more future tales and follow the socials in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.